This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Well, let's talk about one more thing before we jump into the show itself, because it is funny to look at some of this stuff just in the context of 2021. Meltzer would report the WWF reached a deal with Sakani Inc. to handle the company's videotape archives and get them ready for a potential video on demand or internet broadcast, since the company will be owning 40 years of its own footage, as well as the old WCW/Crockett library and the ECW library. Vince McMahon said on some recent interviews that they don't have any plans to do a 24-hour wrestling channel. According to an article in the Hollywood Reporter, Sakani Inc. plans to digitize the WWF's video library, which dates back to the 60s, which largely at this point would be pulling up footage a lot easier than having to search through thousands of hours of tape and film. The article said at this point, there are no specific plans as to what they'll do with the footage, only that when technology changes to digital, they'll be ready. And I've always been fascinated by the way this all came together. Years ago, talking to Bruce over on Something to Wrestle, he told me that even in the late 80s, he remembers Vince talking about a WWF network. Now, of course, their vision at the time was it would be a television channel, like a cable station. Of course, we know it became video on demand first with the WWE 24/7 service. And then in 2014, we saw the launch of the OTT app. But now, my goodness, we've got WWE selling the rights to that to NBC, and it's on Peacock. When did you think they were actually going to do something with this footage?
Well, Vince and I talked about that footage, the footage, starting with the AWA library.
Okay.
That was always kind of on the radar in that regard. Also, he sent me to Dallas, he meaning Vince, pronoun boy, and to talk to Mrs. Von Erich. And that was a fun trip. And I went to her home, and she's such a nice Southern belle. And considering all the things she went through as a mom, and to welcome another wrestling person inside her home, really classy. So I think that, as Bruce mentioned to you, we looked at it as in the days of a television channel. I used to compare it or talk about it in the light of, or in something like the Weather Channel.
Okay.
Who the hell would have thought a Weather Channel would ever survive?
Right.
And right now it's thriving, and it's a big deal. But it just showed us that the landscape of television was changing. Is our product so niche that people might not watch it? And we know that's not true, because they just cut a huge deal with Peacock, and the WWE network had over 1 million subscribers. So it worked. We just weren't ready to get there yet, because a lot of questions are unanswered. But yeah, I think the thought was always at some point in time to have a network, not knowing exactly what incarnation it would take. Will it be a weather channel on basic cable systems? Will it be a digital streaming thing? And Conrad, remember back in this era we're talking about, the streaming topic was not developed.
Right.
There was just talk of how we could do this. Someday this will be this way and that way. So I think that the libraries, the ECW library, of course, UWF, we bought that from Mrs. Watts. I was involved in that negotiation until I got deep into the money aspect. And because I was so close to the project with Cowboy and his ex-wife, I recused myself from negotiation. I didn't want to be in that circle. I didn't need to be in that circle. I had been successfully able to cultivate an interest from them in selling this asset. And it was an asset that Mrs. Watts got through the divorce.
Right.
So we did some good work there, but we didn't have a plan yet. But that's not a bad thing. Again, well, why didn't you have a plan? There's got to be more to this than that. No, we did all this stuff had not been developed yet. We were acquiring libraries, and as you well know, better than anybody I know, content is king.
Yeah, it is.
Content is king. So we just knew that we had plenty of content in our content storage space. We just weren't sure when we were going to unpack it and when we were going to present it and in what form. But it was always the thought, I thought, at least that's my take on it, going forward with that deal.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.